Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Chloe's Thinking Out Loud again. And today we're going to talk about people making excuses for their bad habits and not really willing to work on the initial problem, which is something normally within. People make excuses like, I'm sorry, but it shows in my face when I don't like somebody, or I can't be fake. That's not the problem. The problem is that you want everybody to know in the moment how you feel. So you make a face or you look a certain way to let people know, I don't like him or her. And that's because you're not knowledgeable enough in how to express yourself or how not to express yourself to do it differently. And that's the problem. It may sound harsh, but we've all been there. It was times that I used to use that same excuse. Oh, it shows in my face. Oh, I don't like being fake. It's not that you don't like being fake. It's that you prefer to be mean. You prefer people to see that you really don't like a person because you don't know how to express yourself, or you don't know how not to express yourself. Sometimes people don't need to know you don't like them, or you don't need to make people feel uncomfortable. Here's the thing. We're all grown. If you don't like a situation, or you don't like certain things, or you don't like being around certain people, don't go. Don't attend functions. Don't be around people that you genuinely don't like, or you don't know how yet to express yourself around those people. It takes time. It takes time. There's nothing wrong with it. But to come out and say, oh, it shows in my face, or I don't like being fake, shows that you haven't done the work on yourself in reference to that issue. It may sound like judging, sis, but I'm not judging. I'm just keeping it 100. And I'm keeping it 100 from my perspective of what I've learned within myself. I've noticed that when I did these things, or when I acted a certain way, it was more because of me. My actions show more of what's wrong with me than the person that I'm displaying those actions to. So when we do things like that, it means we need to work on us. It really honestly have nothing to do with the person that we're displaying that to. You could not like somebody. Somebody could be the most annoying person in the world. If you don't know how to handle it, that's on you. And that means it's time to do some inner work. It's time to figure out why you do the things that you do, why you respond the way that you respond, why you don't know how to do it the right way. You need to ask yourself those serious questions and then start on the road of trying to do better, trying to be better. And that's what it's all about. When we do things like that, we're showing that we're stagnant in our growth in that area. We could have grown in other areas tremendously, but when we see points like that, when clearly we're like, okay, I don't know how to be fake, or I don't know how to act like I like a person, or whatever phrase you choose to say, that shows that you don't know how to handle that type of situation. So what do? When you don't know how to do something? You figure out how to do it. You work on your triggers. You figure out, okay, why do I feel the need to respond this way? Asking yourself those serious questions and digging for those answers. And questioning yourself and saying, well, how do I respond in that situation? I've been there, sis. Let me tell you, there's certain people that I can honestly say wreck my nerves. And before, I would have been rolling my eyes in my head or just letting them know that I know that they're full of crap. Bottom line. Now, if I have to be in the situation, I'm cordial, I'm courteous, and I don't say anything. People normally know how you feel about them. And that's the God to honest truth. And what I had to work on was treating everybody with love and respect, because I would want the same for me. So when I'm in that situation, I'm still going to treat someone with respect and love, and it shows control. It shows control because I know you've heard the saying, when people control your emotions, they control you. So some people know that you don't like them. Some people know certain things and they say and do certain things because they know that you have no control, because they control your emotions. That's what it is. So we have to learn how to do things and respond in the moment. See, here's the thing. We have a lot of unlearning to do. There's so much unlearning that we have to do. When I personally went on my journey, it feels like I had to unlearn 75% of what I thought I knew, and what I thought I knew was right, and what I thought I knew was the right thing to do, or not even the right thing to do, that I just thought it was okay. Like a lot of things it's just not okay to do certain things. It's not okay to act a certain way. And inside we know this, we feel it. Like your gut tells you that what you're doing is wrong. You know, you feel it. But sometimes you become so used to doing things that sometimes you just do them and you ignore that gut feeling because you've gotten so used to doing it. So don't be afraid to unlearn some stuff. Don't be afraid to start over, because that's what it feels like. When you're sitting there critiquing yourself, which is the best thing you can do. I talk about this all the time. If you go look at my YouTube channel, I talk about self-evaluation, which is something I had to learn to do. And you don't want the world to check you. So you check yourself. And the only way you can check yourself is to become knowledgeable and specialize in you and figuring out what you need to do for you. For me, that took therapy. For me, it took reading self-help books. It took so many things, listening to podcasts, surrounding myself with like people. This is a learning process. And the things that we thought we knew about ourselves when we were younger or growing up, a lot of them are false. A lot of them are false. I don't know if you guys have ever read The 4 Agreements. That's one of my go-to books. And it talks about breaking contracts. That when we agree to certain things, like say for instance, let me not make it look like it came from me, but he used a reference in the book where a lady came home from work, had a terrible headache. Her daughter was in the room singing at the top of her lungs, living in her world, being happy, but her mom had a headache. So the screaming and the yelling was getting to her. So she yells, "Stop the singing, you can't sing anyway." So apparently the little girl had a beautiful voice to begin with. But in the moment of her mother telling her she couldn't sing, she signed a contract. The daughter, being 5, 4, 3, whatever, they take what you say and they acknowledge it and they say, okay, this is what it is. So he referenced and he talked about how the little girl never really sung again, and the mother never realized that she had planted that seed and she had made that contract with her daughter. And her daughter continued to live with that contract because she never decided to sing again. So that's the same thing with unlearning and relearning. We've signed so many damn contracts when we were younger and agreed to things that had nothing to do with us. And some of those things are still embedded in us, and we believe those things to be true. And that's a problem. So that's why I said self-evaluation is the best thing that you can do. Reading is the best thing that you can do to become knowledgeable in reference to how to handle things properly. I'm not going to say how to 100% do something, Because when you're reading something, that's just other people's thoughts and opinions. So we always have to remember that when you're reading something, that's just somebody giving a take on something. But if you get that aha moment when you're reading something and you realize like, oh my God, this is me, or this relates to me, because those contracts, I never really thought about it like that. I never really thought that we take on these contracts and we believe everything that's told to us, and it's embedded deep into our souls. So we in minds, and we believe these things until a new contract comes along and we break it. Not a bad contract, but we realize what was said to us previously was wrong. And half of the things that we learn from being younger is things that other people believe, their values and their beliefs that are pushed off on us. Some are great and some aren't. Some are debilitating, especially as African Americans. We don't have a sense of where we're truly from. So we're in search from the beginning to trying to figure out who the hell we are. So if you don't know who you are, in all honesty, you don't know where you're going. So the thirst starts from there. So here's the thing. You have to relearn some shit. Excuse my French, but I can't say it any better than that. It's time to relearn some stuff. It's time to figure out who you are as a person. What makes you tick? What makes you do the things that you do? And what are the right things that you should be doing? We need to dig deep into our emotions and why do we feel a certain way. I remember one point in my life, I was miserable. And it was because of me. It was because my reaction to my situation, because I didn't know how to deal with it any other way. Knowledge brings peace. Let me say that again. Knowledge brings peace. When you know what triggers you, when you know what bothers you, when you know what you need to work on, you develop a peace when you start to do those things. When you start to put those things into motion, into your life, into your daily walk. When you see the changes, there's a feeling that I can't describe. When you notice that you conquered something and you're like, yes, I didn't respond that way. So imagine you being in the room with somebody and your face doesn't show how you feel. Imagine that.